Hello, beautiful YouTube. Hello, beautiful YouTube. It is Emily. I hope you're having a perfect, satisfying moment, wherever that may be. And today I'm going to be doing and starting a new series. So I'm super excited. This is going to be the series called The Art of Loving Women Well. And we are going to be discovering all about the menstrual cycle and actually why men understanding women's menstrual cycles is like the best thing that could ever happen for both men and women. So I want to begin though by sharing with you a little passage from this book. This is The Real Life and Teaching of Jesus Christ by Sri Kaleshwar. And this is probably one of the greatest teachers and texts that is, I feel like, preserved true wisdom about the Holy Womb Chakra and the role of women around Yeshua the Nazarene, and also the role of women on earth. So in order for men to love women well, they have to first understand that women's power is very, very different than male power. And the thing that needs to be supported more and more in this world is women rising into their true power instead of women pretending to be men and to dominate and have male power in the ways that men have power. Because number one, most of the time that hierarchical dominator colonializing force of what is toxic patriarchy on our planet, okay, this includes men and women, is really not something women should be aspiring to. And second, until men understand women's real power and start actually loving and artfully loving women in a way that helps them succeed, which is very different than what society wants you to believe and think is the thing that you need to do, but like true honoring of what the feminine is on our planet. Because women nowadays in many places around the world are not seen as divine beings. And much of what the toxic patriarchal rule on our planet for millennia has done has dethroned women from their Holy Womb Chakra righteous power. And so in order for the sexes on our planet to come back into balance, we need to more artfully understand each other. And I figure I'll just do this little series, The Art of Loving Women Well, and hopefully I'll be able to help as many men as possible start to just completely think about the females in their life differently. Because I think if men could understand a little bit more about the true nature of femininity, oh wind, don't. I hope my menstrual cycle chart doesn't fly off into the wind. Okay, men want to love women well. They want to be of service, and so many men are wanting to step into more of what a divine masculinity is on our planet. And so this is a good thing, but we need to actually teach men some of these ancient understandings and practices of women who are very easily able to connect to what is behind the veil and connect to the other side and to bring that power in. So it is said in most yogic traditions that I actually think I have to put my chart down at this moment because it's not needed currently and I'm worried it's gonna okay. So, it is thought in like ancient yogic science that women have a completely different energetic body than men. And it makes perfect sense, honestly. women have the duty of growing life in their actual physical bodies and then birthing that life, which is a huge thing, and then nursing that life and then raising that life in their most natural biological, it's like innate. It's like their innate wisdom. And women also have this thing called a corpus, I think it's called the corpus callosum, which is a very thick connector nerve bundle that connects the right and left hemispheres together. And this is much thicker in women than it is in men. This is what makes women, we could say, more able to, it's what makes them good mothers, having the ability to have this very high, fast processing communication happening between their left and right hemispheres. Okay, so we have to start understanding that life is sacred on our planet. And like, not just like cliche, like you've heard it a million times, life is sacred, but to like actually take that in, to take it in, to vibrate it in your heart, to let that vibration vibrate through your whole body, and to actually come into this like, wow, this is a sacred gift that I have been given this life, and all life is sacred. Because when we live from this understanding, we immediately elevate ourselves into a higher frequency and vibration of what is truly divine and holy in this world. And transhumanism is a agenda playing out on our planet. So if we just look at the root etymology of trans, it means above or beyond, and then human. So this idea that humans need to have something outside themselves, like machines, to therefore connect to this godlike power. And, you know, people who are super on the transhumanist edge actually talk about us merging with machines. And there's other various parts of transhumanism. I'm not going to go into it today. I've gone into it in past videos, and it's of really no relevance other than what it is doing to what is life, organic life, natural life, and the biological beauty of man and woman, and especially respect for women's wombs. So in a toxic patriarchal world, men are not taught about the wisdom and power that literally is in women's physical bodies. And, you know, it's very common, and it's not your fault if you know nothing about a menstrual cycle, if you know nothing about a period, if you didn't have sisters, if your mom never sat you down and talked to you about it, if you never have had the opportunity to receive, like, you know, the deeper spiritual understanding of sexual education, not just like, this is a fallopian tube and this is an egg and egg will go down the fallopian tube, etc. So we have to start educating people. Now, one of the most interesting things that I have been really discovering over the last 6 years is this deep awakening of, and I am very hesitant to use the term sex magic because of all the connotations and denotations that have gone with that. Because I'm not talking at all, like I want to be very clear, I'm not talking at all about some type of like Aleister Crowley sex magic. It's like in a different whole other league, like just like a different other league of what I am wanting to eventually, I think, help people come into the understanding of. But in order to come into the understanding of this, we first need to start respecting women's wombs. And so men are given things at very young ages, like adult content and entertainment that they view through phones and on screens, that begin to really erode and desensitize and numb. And I mean, you could go do a Google search right now and find out the things that having screens that have all this adult entertainment and giving it to humans. And so many men are becoming addicted to these things. I think it's great now that there's so much science coming out about how it changes the brain, how it changes the way men are treating and viewing and thinking about women, how it takes them in their mind and out of their body when they're actually with a partner making love, how it's can be also quite shameful. Okay, shame is not a bad thing. Shame is actually a really good sign. If you have shame and are able to feel shame, it's a very good sign that you do know right from wrong and you do have empathy. And sometimes people don't want to confront their shame because it's never great to feel it. But actually realizing and recognizing that maybe you do have shame about the way you have disrespected women's wombs or treated women, or even just having, you know, more of like a expanded bird's eye view of like the way men are doing this. Okay, I know the things going around with the 62 million website clicks to this site where there are men teaching other men how to do terrible things to their wife. So I don't know if this has showed up in your news feed yet, but this is like a journalist story. Actually, I might post a little video about that here.
Was exposed by a CNN article last month. There is a virtual network that spans across various chats, forums, and porn channels where men post, trade, and even sell videos and streams of them sexually exploiting unconscious victims, men, drugging and raping their own wives, and even streaming it. I mean, I don't even have the words to accurately express the deep disgust and fear I feel for women and all other victims of this heinous act. And even though it's not an official academy where men register, it's being described as a rape academy because men give each other step-by-step tips on how to do this. It functions like a training ground for sexual violence. It was reported that one porn site connected to this whole ecosystem pulled around 62 million visits in the month of February. We are entering a new level of dystopia in how pervasive and severe this sickness is amongst men. It's a serious global public health crisis of sexual and gender-based violence, which, by the way, this goes way back. Sexual violence was intentionally used as a weapon to colonize indigenous people here on what is now known as the Americas. Men, we need to be the ones to face it and take a stand against it. In our friendship circles, group chats, and in the communities that we live and work in. Our silence is exactly what lets this sickness grow and get out of hand. To all the people who expressed their disdain for my Instagram post where I showed my firearm in unsuspecting attire, I really hope you keep that same energy about the stories being reported here. There are far more urgent, life-threatening crises to worry about than a man who chooses to carry a firearm as a precaution to keep his family and anyone in his vicinity safe.
So, and it might not. So if I did, then can we just like all take a deep breath and like understand that we need people standing up for what is correct and what is actually moral and sane, what is sane and sound on our earth and on our planet. And Sri Kalshwar can help us with that. So I'm going to read you this part. If you happen to have this text, it's a little hard to get, But if you do, I'm going to start on page 69 at the top. The mother's womb, the holy place we came from. From the earliest time in the Indian tradition, far back as 7,000 years, they worshipped Divine Mother's womb, the place she gives to the birth of creation. Still, in some very old temples, there are huge statues of the womb. If anyone has seen these statues, they're called like the Shinanagig, and they're basically like statues of vulvas. They knew the inner secrecy. If you really want to win something in the universe, you have to go to that point in creation from where you were created. From there, you have to connect to Mother Divine. Okay, Aaron Abke is a fantastic scholar of the original tradition, the Nazarene tradition. So Aaron Abke often talks about how Christianity kind of turned into like a sausage fest, where it's like we're just thinking that it's the Father, the Son, and then the Holy Ghost, which is also in many Christian religions seen as male. It's like, how do three men create all this? The divine femininity has been obfuscated from many traditions. And so this is a reminder of Mother Divine, of Divine Mother, that this is a real presence. And in a world that doesn't have connection to that presence, we see things like 62 million views of people trying to do things that are horrifying. Or we see the PDF files of the elite, etc. In a world that has lost connection to Divine Mother, we're in a world where young little boys are learning about what toxic male producers think women want in the bedroom, that is a problem. And it's becoming increasingly more a problem. Okay. Your physical mother's womb connects you to the real mother, Mother Divine. There is no other way in the spiritual kingdom. That is the best. In the world, 99.99% of the saints received the spiritual powers from the mother's womb. We all came from a mother. We all came from a female. Your whole link is somewhere with the female. Whenever you connect with your soul, if you want to soul travel, she has to open the door for you. You have to go through the womb chakra to get out. Again, if you want to come in, you have to go through the womb chakra to get in. At that time, the soul is getting prepared. It is sucking the power from Divine Mother, and then it is leaving. Even if God wants to come to this planet, God must choose a female to come through that channel. The female energy is necessary in nature. In the Vedic tradition, they say nature is the mother and God is the father. Some say without God there is no nature. Others say without nature there is no God. I agree. Without nature there is no God. After understanding God and taking the fundamentals of God, we can take off using nature. In the nature, we create incredible supernatural things. Human beings have to respect the mother's womb. It's the holy place we all come from. Even if you don't have a good feeling for your personal mother, you have to respect her. You have to connect to her and connect to Divine Mother. You have to develop the kind of inner feelings in silence. Okay, this section is called Creating a Powerful Womb Chakra. I'm just going to read a little bit more. I know hearing someone read can be boring, especially when our brains are programmed through quick entertainment, but stay with me if you can. Creating a powerful womb chakra. The womb is the direct channel and the most directed highway to receive the energy. That is why I say it is very easy for the female to receive the energy much faster. They are 10 times more powerful than the males to get success very easily. Even with Yeshua, the Christ, the majority of his devotees were ladies. And this is very true. You know, Yeshua, very, very unusual for his time. He was always seen with women around him. And yeah, when I first started connecting to Yeshua, he shared with me this story that he would actually perform miracles to show the woman that was most often around him, and also the woman that he was yoked to before he met that woman, the miraculous nature of her womb and his yoke to it. So it is very much a completely different paradigm than what most of us have been taught what marriage is. A lot of us don't even think of marriage as having anything to do with the womb at this particular point in history, 2026. Okay. If a woman does 14 years of sadhana, sadhana is like a spiritual practice as the sun is rising, before the sun rises, and a man does 400 years of sadhana, the woman will get it just like that. It means that women have an opportunity to grow their energy very powerfully and very easily. I'm going to explain that they do this through the womb cycle, their menstruation cycle. The whole creation is inside your womb chakra. And if you're a man, you do have a womb chakra. It means that life and death is in the womb chakra. The creation point is there. The creation keeps on in you, in your womb chakra. You carry the energy in your womb throughout your lifetimes. It's what we call your soul essence. When your soul comes into your body, it has to come through the womb chakra. You don't need any other creation. Through your womb, you can do miracles. You can manifest a physical body. You can change one thing to another. You can change a person's mind. You can do a distance healing from anywhere on the planet, any country, any city, any town. The channels are all there. It depends on how pure the womb chakra energy is. When you want to change the nature, when the nature gives you creation and you want to fix a problem, you first need to know the energy of the womb chakra. Okay, so, and then it goes on and it talks about how men have connection to the womb chakra through their mother, and it's called the Bindu point. Okay, and women actually have a Bindu point within their physical body. And this is why it is said in yogic science that women are, in general, 11 times more sensitive, energetically, spiritually, energetically sensitive than men. Okay, this is, give or take. There's going to be men who are more sensitive and women who are less sensitive. But if you took the most sensitive woman on the planet and the most sensitive man on the planet, that sensitive woman would be 11 times more sensitive. Okay? I've also seen it 10 or 11 times. So this is a very big difference that nobody is often speaking to. And this is why a man in his highest masculine divinity would actually really want to respect the womb, would want to respect women, especially the woman that he feels is his soulmate, right? His soul essence, his feminine to his masculine. And she also equally, that is the masculine energy to the feminine. So the true soul essence. And Sri Kaleshwar talks about how every single person has a soulmate or 8 soulmates on this planet. Okay? So when you find that person and a man is able to actually marry and yoke with a woman's womb, the amount of energy that woman can channel for that man towards his purpose, right? Towards his very directional soul purpose is like a metaphorical rocket booster for men. But in order for the yoke to happen, and women equally have to yoke to men's hearts, and men have to have purified hearts. And on our planet, what we're seeing is that a lot of women don't have pure whole womb energy anymore, and a lot of men don't have hearts that are open. They're actually numb, and they're actually, turned off through connection to, I'm just going to say, things that are media, entertainment, industry things. So this is a much different understanding of how the sexes come together for power, and why, as a man on this planet, it's actually really important that you respect a woman's womb. Like, it is like numero uno, foundational number one. You respect the womb that you are entering, or if you're not entering women's wombs and you're taking a period of celibacy, which I highly recommend for men, to reclaim and to purify and to burn off all the karma. I mean, you know, it just depends how much you have been disrespecting women's wombs. But if you have, like, taking celibacy for a bit is actually essential. I really have absolutely no desire to let any man into my womb that has not observed a period of celibacy, like zero. And that is because I have learned that the womb energy can only be as pure and holy as you allow it and make it to be. And this isn't to shame people, because I understand the culture that we live in, and I myself have participated in hookup culture, and I understand it, okay? So it's like, I understand the cultural situation we're all in. And also, anything you do out of shame, fear, or guilt is not useful or helpful in any way. So I'm talking about, for women, a real, true, heart-based understanding that doesn't come from fear, shame, or guilt, but an actual soul understanding of the power of your womb, the essence of what it is you offer, your actual female power, even if you haven't been taught it, even if society minimizes it, even if there's not that many people who acknowledge it. Your ability to purify the space in yourself and connect to Divine Mother is there are no words for the beauty and sanctity of women. And as somebody who grew up in a very one religion dominated, very toxic, patriarchal, I mean, to the level of cult-ish religious environment, getting to the understanding that my body and my essence and my being is holy was years of purging and deprogramming and getting a sense of safety within myself to hold that type of divinity within me without fear. And it's because women are often harmed, and they were harmed. It's within your matriarchal lineage that the females in your, they often talk about how some of the fiercest protectors of toxic patriarchy are actually women, because mothers don't want their daughters to be harmed, and so they teach them to enter toxic patriarchy thought streams. So it's a very complex situation, and it's up to each and every one of us to do the inner work and to make the inner decision to reclaim our wombs as holy, and to do the work to purify that space of everything that it's holding for our lineage and also for ourself in this life. Okay, so women's power is different. Women's power is very much about the Holy Womb Chakra and its connection point in the physical earthly realm to Divine Mother. Men should understand that, respect that, like their soul depends upon it, that their soul essence, that the integrity and the beauty and the strength of their soul depends on the way that they treat and respect women, and women's deep sensitivity, emotionality, intuitiveness. And think about, not just when you think about protecting and creating provision for women on the earth, don't just think about protecting their physical body. Think about protecting the parts of them that are subtle, and the parts of them that are so sacred, like their emotional body and their spiritual bodies, right? These things men haven't been taught to respect about women, and it needs to be respected. And one of the ways that you can actually just deeply come into alignment with women is to understand their menstrual cycle, because it syncs perfectly to a lunar cycle, right? The average menstrual cycle, I believe, is 28 days to 32-ish, but I know some people have like 27 to, I don't know, somewhere in there, like 27 to 32, but average is 28 days, okay? Moon cycle, 28 days. So it's this like syncing, energetic nature, natural phenomenon that occurs. And I'm gonna insert a video here and for you to understand this from a perspective of an expert.
No, get to know her cycle. I'm gonna give you gold right now. Let me give you gold. Okay, so day 1 of her cycle, day 1 to day 10, she's building estrogen. First couple of days of her cycle, just let her be. Like she's transitioning out of the back half of her cycle. She might be having some heavier bleeding. She's moving into that extroverted place. So the first 2 days, give her some space. Now day 3, estrogen's starting to build. So you're gonna notice she's more verbal. She's gonna be more present. She might feel more outgoing. She's gonna feel like she wants to connect with you. That's gonna go all the way through ovulation, like in the middle of ovulation, which is about day 12, day 13, where all of a sudden estrogen's at its peak. If you have any conflict you want to resolve with her, do it between like day 2 and day 12 of her cycle. She's gonna be so ready to handle any conflict with you.
Let me write that down. Day 2 and day 12.
Day 2, like literally.
That's when I pick my battles.
I had a dad come to me and tell me that he was struggling to understand his teenage daughter, and I said, "Well, do you know her cycle?" And he's like, "No, I don't." I said, "Well, you would never ever bring a conflict to her on day 18 or 19 of her cycle. Bring it to her on day 10, and now she's going to talk to you."
I'm going to say something which is really embarrassing here. I know nothing about menstrual cycles. At no point in my life did anybody teach me about menstrual cycles. The only insight I have in my life to what a menstrual cycle is overhearing my sister when I was younger talking about it.
Yeah.
And when I say overhearing, I mean maybe a sentence. And then maybe my girlfriend, once in a while, she'll say, "Oh, I'm coming into my cycle," or whatever. She'll say, "I'm on my period." That's, for most men, that's in fact the extent of the education we have about the female reproductive menstrual cycles.
Yep.
So talk to me like I'm an idiot about the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Oh, I love this. And do you know that most women don't know?
Oh, really?
So, I mean, most women are ignorant to their own cycles. So it's 28 days, anywhere from 28 days to 32. Every woman has a different length.
Okay. And what day does the period come on?
Day 1. So day
Okay.
1 is the first day she bleeds.
Okay. Then how long? That lasts for what, 7 days?
Everyone's different, anywhere from 3 to 7 days.
Okay. So you said between day 2 and 12 is when to pick my battles?
Yes. So day 2, you're going to start to see her emerge a little more gregarious. She may be a little more outgoing. So, I mean, as you get closer to day 12, you want to go party with her. You want to take her out, make her feel good. Like, that's the time to wine and dine her.
Okay, cool. We'll put all the dates then and all the fights. And then after day 12, what am I doing?
Then after so day 12 is right when she's ovulating. So you're going to have to choose your battle there. But ovulation occurs for most women between day 10 and day 15. There's a small little 5-day window there. Once I figured this out, I was like, why don't men know this? That's when her libido is going to be the highest.
Okay, so we're having sex.
Yes. So if you want to have sex with her.
I'm just writing this down.
Yes.
So have sex with her around that time.
If
she's willing.
She's going to be more motivated because she has testosterone. She's going to feel more like it.
Okay. Then after she finishes ovulating after day 15.
Yeah. So then there's going to be a crash of hormones. You might see a change in her personality. She might feel a little low.
Go stay in a hotel.
But you could ask,
I'm joking.
if she's having a bummer day, or a low day, ask her, do you know what day of your cycle are you on?
Be really nice.
Be really nice.
Really nice.
And then here's the gold. Here's gold. This is so good. You're going to have to report back to me how this works.
Okay.
When around day 17 or 18, progesterone's coming in. This is where you got to give her foot rubs. You got to be extra special and cater her like she's the queen that she deserves to be.
Okay. So all my compliments, that's where I pull out the notepad.
Yes. But what you need to know is she's probably going to be like, if you're like, "Oh, you look so beautiful today," she might at that time be like, "No, I feel horrible. I'm bloated. I don't feel beautiful." But
I should disagree. I should say, no, you don't. You look amazing. Okay, cool.
And you do that till she bleeds. And you can take amazing care of her in the week before her period, and you will get kudos like you can't even imagine.
And then start it all over again. Got you.
Yeah, I mean, just once you understand our patterns. And then it also helps you understand that we're going to be more outgoing in the front half of our cycle. We're going to be more introverted in the back half.
What about men?
You guys, every 15 minutes, you're pretty black and white.
Really?
Yeah, you're pretty straightforward.
So if she was asking you the same question about me, would you say anything to her about my hormone cycles at all? You'd just say...
It really depends on the issue at hand. So if it's a mismatch of libido, then the best time to have sex with a woman is during ovulation.
Okay.
Because she has the most amount of testosterone.
Day 10 to 15 of her cycle.
Yeah.
It would be really handy, wouldn't it, just to have a little menstrual cycle chart on the wall at home. I know that sounds a bit strange, but just so I know.
Okay. So that was Dr. Mindy Pelz. And now I want to just review and give you more of a spiritual understanding of what is going on and happening for women, so you can understand the power of your woman and how to support her spiritual. We're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to go down a bit. I think this is okay. This is okay. Okay, here we go. So again, this is the new series, The Art of Loving Women Well. And just to review, day 1 of a woman's menstrual cycle is when she actually starts to bleed. Okay, on day 1, all of her hormones are like at rock bottom. They have plummeted. So she has very little estrogen on board. Her progesterone has greatly dropped to start her bleed, and she has very little testosterone. And so hormonally, she is like starting at the bottom on day 1. Okay, this is what starts the shedding of the lining. And blood is such a miraculous substance. Yes, we've been taught it's dirty. Yes, we have even told women horrible things about it, but it is actually a very energized, holy substance that contains a ton of chi. Okay, so you can think about it as her chi is like falling to the earth, like she's giving to the earth her chi. Woman is very connected to the earth and the elemental plane. Okay, so a normal menstrual cycle is anywhere from 3 days to 7 days. So she will be bleeding, but on day 3, her estrogen starts to rise. Okay, women's estrogen, they actually have 2 different types of estrogen, so it's a little more complicated than what I'm saying here. But estrogen begins to rise, and as estrogen increases, energy levels increase, communication skills increase, problem solving increases, women become really like shiny and extroverted and outgoing, and they like want to go out and they want to see friends and they want to do. And it's like from about day 3 to day 10, as Mindy Pelz explains, there is this like really great kind of positive energy amplification that is occurring for all of your females in your life. And then depending on the woman, then ovulation will happen. So ovulation, if it's normal, happens between day 10 and day 14. So we're just going to say day 12 here. Okay. So once the estrogen has risen, this creates a mature follicle, like a mature egg or eggs. It's actually multiple. And then the testosterone starts to peak, which helps the ovary release the egg down the fallopian tube. And also, this really is when women have the absolute most energy in their cycle. So sometime between day 10 and 14, her libido will be the highest. She will want to make love with you. She will be kind of on fire in terms of like all the things that we think about with men who have a lot of testosterone and who get a huge surge of testosterone on a 24-hour cycle. Very different than the woman's 28-day cycle. Think of the difference in the time that women and men are moving on. Men get a big testosterone peak every morning about 7 a.m. Then they get little testosterone bumps every 15 minutes throughout the day. They get a bit bigger surge right at the end of the night. So yeah, So women will have the a more matched testosterone to you guys during these ovulation days. So they've done incredible studies where like they will get a huge group of women, 100 women, and like, segment them according to what phase they are in their menstrual cycle and send them out to socialize with men. And men will always rate the women who are ovulating more attractive than the women who are not ovulating. Very, very fascinating. Yeah, and it changes. So it's not really about the woman, but it's more about this energetic energy that the womb is creating. And the womb, you have to think about it, it's very alive. It's very like open at this point. Okay, so after ovulation, I'm just going to call this contentment. So after ovulation, whether or not an egg has been fertilized, there's like a little window of just like pure contentment. And this is where all of the hormones are, at least the estrogen and testosterone, are pretty equally matched. Progesterone hasn't started coming in yet. And this is just like usually a phase in a woman's cycle where she's just like, I don't know, the most of what she is at her essence, I would say. So for men who have older women in your lives who have gone through menopause, this is kind of like where you get that peek into like what your woman will be like when she is in menopause and she's not riding the hormonal 28-day roller coaster that women ride. Some women start their periods, very young age, like as young as 8. Other people start their period closer to like 16. And then some women go into perimenopause, which is where this whole cycle starts to kind of change, as early as 35. And some people start as late as 45. So it's a very big window and every woman is very different. But this is kind of where you get that feeling or knowingness of her truest essence, I feel, through these days. Okay, day 17, progesterone starts to come in. So progesterone is the buzzkill. It's the mood killer in men's perception of women as it stands. But I actually want to teach you today that progesterone is like the spiritual hormone. It is like the thing that makes women able to do what they do. It's a thing that has to rise and stay really high through an entire pregnancy. So pregnant women have a lot of progesterone, and progesterone it makes you so open and available to the spirit realm. And it makes sense as a woman's womb is actually like bringing a soul in, how much thinner her energetic aura and veil has to be to actually do that. So when progesterone raises, women become deeply sensitive. Their intuition rises. They become more introverted. Well, why? Because suddenly their inner spiritual life and emotional life is way more potent and powerful than it was before. And so it's also emotional because women, day 17, progesterone kicks in. By day 20, that's what we typically call the luteal phase. So I'm going to just switch this around so we can see the luteal phase. Okay, so during the luteal phase, the body is really like recognizing on day 20 that there has been a conception or there hasn't. So it's like, oh, I haven't conceived most of the time. And so estrogen will then tank. Testosterone tanks and progesterone goes crazy and it starts to rise because it's getting a woman ready to bleed again and start this whole thing over. So the veil thins, women connect to, I call it like the collective consciousness of all women. So this is what makes it kind of a harder time emotionally for women, is as the veil thins, they start to connect to like the body collective of women, of the earth, of the world. And they're very sensitive to all things that are going on. And during this time with the progesterone rising, the womb is swelling, okay? So like the womb chakra is getting so much chi and energy and interaction and blood flow. And so women will get bloated. They their breasts will be tender and larger than normal, way more sensitive than normal. They will hold more water weight. You just, it's this feeling of like tumescence, like swelling, but it's also very powerful. Your psychic abilities like activate very much so during your luteal phase, and you feel more tuned in. And this goes until day 28 if you are the most normal cycle, and then your bleeding starts, and you do this whole thing all over again. So, as Dr. Mindy Pelez said, this is the gold. The gold is to understand that women are just, their inner world and experience is so different. And if you can understand that and you can cultivate compassion for women's experience, and why, as you get more hungry, you get more sleepy, you become more inner world towards the spiritual focus, if you're allowed to be in your power. Otherwise, if you're not and you're totally cut off from like all types of spirituality and your actual reason for being in this space, you might just think that something's going wrong in your life. But if you understand it correctly, the sadness is far less, because you're like, oh, I'm just feeling. I'm able to feel like everything at its heights and its peaks. And it's a really powerful time for women to be creative, to like, if you're an artist and you do any type of art, which is so many things in my book, from making music to building gardens, to creating architecture, to writing essays or writing poetry or writing nonfiction or a memoir, or to, just all these things. So women need the support in their luteal phase. So if you're with your wife and you have kids during that time, maybe, hey honey, you could stay in bed and sleep an extra hour. I'll take the kids to school during these times, right? The other time of the cycle, she's like, no, I'm up hours before you and I have all this energy and I'm going for it. But during that time, she just might need a little more support or a little more help. And that, I think, could make all the difference for men in their relationships if they just understood when their woman needs their support and their tenderness and their patience, and when she's just like superwoman and she could do it all and it's good, it's gravy. So yeah, that is a really long episode. I think the longest episode I've ever done, but I hope that it has been helpful and useful. And yeah, may we all just continue to educate each other and get better and better at stepping into our divine essences. And I know that that's a never-ending process that is forever lasting and never really maxes out, but I guess we can see how good it can get. And I'm sending everybody a lot of love. I hope you have a great day.